Yeah.
Probably, yes.
You gonna climb the tower today?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, good.
Can I buy 2 tickets for the lighthouse?
Sure, is it? Where are you guys from?
We're from Poland.
No, Shimash.
Oh, you too?
My grandparents, Babci and Jaji.
Babcia i dziadzi from Poland.
Gdańsk area.
Wow. Nice. I can see that you speak fluent Polish.
No, and you know, we could understand it. We didn't speak, they didn't encourage us to speak, but we could all understand it because we were at Babci's house all the time.
That's right.
So when I went to Poland with my daughter and my granddaughter, I started to understand, and my daughter started to read the signs. Well, she knew Babci and Jaji, they lived to be old. So, yeah, and of course the food. Oh my gosh, the food. I still make łąki.
There's gonna be a Polish-American festival in Doylestown, Pennsylvania.
I know, I'll Lady of Chester Hall.
Maybe you can help us.
I can say that,
You see, very good. No American people can say
I know,
Częstochowa.
look at the word, they all said, and Polish names. What's your last name?
Masłowski.
Masłowski, okay.
What's yours?
Well, Wilson. But
Wilson.
my grandmother was Stanislava Maleski, and married my grandfather, who was Jan Rogatsky.
Wow. You see, so American people cannot say that.
No, and then my cousins, one aunt married Kuchansky, another aunt married Kaminsky, and easy names. And they were saying, Americans look at those names, and if for some reason it's in their head they can't pronounce it. Kuchansky, Kaminsky, Trechevich. Well, too easy. They look at it, ooh, I can't pronounce that because it's like Z's and G's. Jaji, G-Z-A-D-Z-I. Jaji. My mother told me to read Polish when I was little, but she stopped for some reason. This is your receipt. So, but we visited Krakow, my daughter, as I said, and there was a restaurant called Polakowska's, and my Babci's best friend was Pania Polakowska. So we went there and they put pierogies, like, ooh, we couldn't believe it. So my granddaughter was in heaven because she loves pierogies and chicken soup. Nice. I want to make kruszyki. You have to find a recipe for kruszyki.
That's for Christmas?
Anytime. I would help my Babci make babka. We'd make kruszyki, we'd make kibasi. And I miss them.
How come you're working in this lighthouse?
Well, I'm a volunteer. I retired. I come from the New York area. Where you guys live?
In New York, we used to live in Greenpoint.
Greenpoint? Of course you live in Greenpoint. You're Polish.
That's right.
Greenpoint, Brooklyn. I grew up in Jersey City, which was very Polish at one time. And then I moved up to Bergen County, the top of the state. And I worked in Westchester. I worked in Tarrytown. For Bayer, yeah. So not so many Polish anymore. You know, although Wallington and Garfield still is in New Jersey, pretty much Polish.
Garfield is.
Yes, good restaurants. And actually, Ventnor, the next town, well, on the mainland, there's 2 good Polish delis, and one of them gets their stuff from Brooklyn, because they have good kruszyki there. I love kruszyki. I said, where does it come from and how often do you get it? Because, you find it, so it's like cardboard. They said every Tuesday from Brooklyn. Of course, right?
That's right.
Where do you guys live now?
In Trenton.
Oh, in Trenton. There used to be a large population there, too. Is it still there?
Yes, around St. Hedwig Church. There's a big Polish population there. Yes.
Yeah. What church is it?
St. Hedwig.
Oh, St. Hedwig, my mother's name, Jadwiga. Yeah, my mother's name. Her sister, she had Adela, Teleska, Alina, Jadwiga, and Florence. Those are the 5 girls. Yeah. And my Chacha was my Jaji's sister, and we never knew her name. It was just Chacha. I said, what's Chacha's name? Chacha. Okay.
She's Chacha now for the.
My niece and
Are you really?
Yeah.
you're
That's how they-
Chacha?
That's how they call
Yeah,
her, Chacha.
yeah, and it was, we did, they had parties and do the polka, and then two of those with, they were all dancing, they fall down. It was a lot of fun.
Right.
A lot of fun.
This is the way to.
That's the way.
All right, so we'll be back, I guess, hopefully.
Have
Nice
fun.
talking to you.
Thank you.
Same for you.
This one?
Yeah.
It's a small world.
One day you're gonna be volunteering to service somewhere, in the lighthouse or somewhere. Slow down.
At least it's not as bad as Copeland's Tower.
It's probably colder.
I bet the stairs are so small at one point.
Yeah. Moments now has elevator in it because it worked for the last 20 years. remember, they were
Of the casino?
pillars. Oh, no, there was an old
Casino?
boardwalk, and the boardwalk was taken by the storm, but the pillars
So there's only two taller you can go climb. Number one, this is Cape Hatteras in the Outer Banks in North Carolina. That's the tallest. That's about 20 feet taller than this one. And number two is Ponce de Leon Lighthouse in Florida near Daytona Beach. That's only about 5 or 6 feet taller than this one. So you picked a good one to do.
We did.
So if you want to see the lens, you can't climb the ladder, but if you stand against the wall and look up, and you can see good with your camera that way, that's a first order Fresnel lens. Augustin Fresnel invented this lens in the 1820s because it was always a problem that the light could not be seen far enough out to sea to keep the ships at a safe distance. So he invented this with all prisms. So instead of the light being scattered in all directions where no one really needs to see it, it brings it all to one beam and then directs it straight out to sea. So this light can be seen 23 miles out to sea. So it kept the ships, a good 20 miles out there that they were safe. And this is a steady white light. It doesn't turn, it's a fixed light, steady white, but it works with the other lighthouses. So we have our sister lighthouse to the south is Cape May Lighthouse. And that has a light that flashes every 30 seconds. Then our sister lighthouse to the north is Barnegat Light. That has a light that flashes every 15 seconds. So every ship's captain would have a log with all, that's called their characteristic, what their light pattern is. So they would know exactly where they were. They'd see Cape May, and then just as they're getting out of view of the 30-second flash, they start seeing this steady white light. Mm-hmm. Then just as they're getting out of the view of the steady white light, they start saying the 15-second. Every 15-second flash, and it goes. You can go from Florida up into Canada, all the northern seaboard, and you can go by lighthouses and know exactly where you are.
Oh, that's incredible.
And it still works.
Still works. Yep, it's lit every night from dusk until midnight. It's not an active navigational aid anymore because, as you can see, there's been a city built around it. When this was completed in 1857, this was like standalone here, except for a few like seaside cottages. This is the oldest structure in Atlantic City. So everything else you see was not here when this lighthouse was built. It was more like, coastal lighthouses are more like this, kind of standalone, like in a state park or in an area like this. Not usually with a city built around it, but the city came afterwards.
It says it's constructed in Paris.
Yeah, that's when the lens was made in 1854, and that's when the construction of this started, and then it was first completed in 1857.
Very nice.
And these lenses are all over the world. It changed lighthouses all over the world. That's so cool.
somebody is walking upstairs, will we be able to pass them?
Oh yeah, and when you start hearing that noise, they're still down at the bottom. The echo comes. Yeah, so you heard echo travels.
You heard our whole conversation.
I can't necessarily make it out, but I know somebody's coming up the tower.
Oh, so you know a
But
lot.
part of the reason, they have these stairs that are the metal through and you can see through. Part is to let the light in because this was built before electricity, so to let some light in. They're also lighter weight, so there wasn't the extra weight in the tower, but also for the sound that a keeper would know if somebody was coming up. When you're more pictured then more isolated here, you would want to know if somebody was coming up.
Yeah.
So, and then besides the echo you get, in the tower. Yeah, I mean, it takes a while. When I start hearing somebody's entered the tower, it's a while before they get up here.
Everything is original, right?
Yes, this is,
metal
and they
stuff.
purposely kept this, this is called the watch room that we're in now, so this kind of be like the keeper's office, more or less. Kept these walls, these are the original walls, the original lens. There's only 12 of these original, this size first order Fresnel lenses in the country. We have one of them. They've been replaced. They still use Fresnel lenses, but this is one of the original ones. Everything in this is the original. The keeper's house that you came through where you got your ticket, that's in the footprint of the original house, but that's burned down twice. But they built it, the last time they built it was only in the 1990s, so that's fairly recent. But they built it to look as much as the keeper's house would have looked, so the keeper would have lived there. And where the gardens are, there was an assistant keeper, so his house was there where the garden is, but that was also knocked down in like the 1990s, and they just didn't bother rebuilding it because it wasn't really needed.
Very good. Thank you very much for the lecture. It was
You're welcome.
Beautiful
You're welcome.
place.
Thank you. Thanks for coming up.
Thank you. You're going first?
See, now you have your goal, those 2 other lighthouses you got to get to and climb them. Yeah.
One is in Florida.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.